This week on The Buzz, we have the honor and privilege of speaking with Grammy-nominated, multi-stellar award winner, the one who gave us You Deserve, none other than JJ Hairston. JJ, thank you so much for coming on, for agreeing to chop it up with us, just to talk about the new project, again, talk about everything that's going on with you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Nice. So listen, man, I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into it. So I know, you've been doing ministry now for quite a while. It's been almost 20 years. JJ Harrison, YP. Over 20 years, you guys have been doing ministry. Did you ever stop and think in those earlier days that, man, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, you were gonna be at a place like this where everything else is happening? Like, is it still wowing you? Like, talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, I never even imagined we'd get to where we are, and I don't know what that means, like where this is. But I guess to the place where people have recognized what we do and appreciate it on a large scale. I mean, for me, we were never focused on getting attention. We were focused on releasing music that honors God. And I guess because of that, He's been able to trust us, and He continues to enlarge our platform. But we'll never get to a place where we crave the attention more than we crave His presence. And I think because of that, He continues to push us, because God knows that whatever platform He puts us on, no matter how large our platform gets, we'll continue to give it back to Him. So we'll never stop worshiping. We'll never stop doing what we do, and I believe He'll continue to expand us.
Man, I like that. You're already starting us off on the right path there. So I remember, now I saw you when you released one of your albums and you were doing a tour through New York. I believe it was Sean Gibbs, Governor Gibbs, that put on that tour. It was either BMI or one of those
It's ASCAP.
locations. ASCAP. Yep,
Yeah.
there it is. It was at ASCAP. And you spoke to us and you were talking about in the earlier days, it was you, Trina was calling all the radio station, doing all that, like, getting that grinding in that earlier days, to now having James Stone Music, the label. So now just tell us, for anyone that really didn't think, you were grinding and putting it in then to now and everything else, just touch a little bit about that for us.
Well, yeah. This is what I would say to everybody: never lose your grind. Never get to a point where you feel like this is not for me. This is for the newer artists, because we're living in a day now where we are all responsible for what God has given to us to do.
Yes.
So we still, even now, Trina, my wife, still emails radio announcers and stuff like that, because we
Wow.
never want to get to a place where we're untouchable, and we're such a system that people feel like they can't reach us. But of course, we have people now. We have a team of people, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
who help us out and help us to broadcast and spread our message. But when we first started, we actually depended more on the systems than we did on ourselves. And I think we got to a place where we didn't
Mm-hmm.
appreciate the work and the effort it took to get us put out there. And I think when we intentionally took a step back and said, well, you know what, let's do everything on our own, we were able to appreciate the people who service radio. We were able to appreciate those who contact press, and everyone that put their work into letting people know what we do. We were able to appreciate it more because we did it ourselves. But now that
Mm-hmm.
we have a team of people who are around us that help us to spread this work, we don't take them for granted. We don't take their work for granted. And I think everyone who has a ministry, you should at least take a season where you do everything that is the people who are connected to you do, so you can really empathize with them in their struggle and in the effort they put in to make sure you grow.
Nice. So now for the record label, do you plan to sign anyone to the label? Like, what are some of the the plans down the line there?
See, I think for us, we are intentionally uh, a platform where we give people exposure to get to their next place. We're like a
Mm,
launching pad. So similar to what we do with Youthful Praise,
Yeah.
like we have many amazing singers that go on to be able to do great things personally, individually, because of the platform we shared. We believe Jamestown Music is the same thing. We'll have people, who are amazing, but don't have the exposure that's necessary for people to be aware of what they do. And we'll sign them for a song or a record and let
Got
people
it.
know what they do, and then they move on. So we initially introduced Bill Thompson with the song My Worship. We put
Yes.
that out. And, of course, people embraced it. And then he's now an international phenomenon, like
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
all over the world. Rich Talbot Jr.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah.
we initially say, we believe in what you do. So we're gonna, help you release a song. We did a tour around the song, and now, Never Be Defeated and Rich Talbot Jr. has been, launched, and they're doing great things. I believe that's
Yes.
what we're called to do. We don't want to have
Awesome.
people a roster of artists because we don't want to be responsible for that maintenance, to be honest. But if we can at least use our platform to help launch people, and we're doing what we're called to do.
And I think that's key, right? Because that should be, the ultimate goal, right? Because when you have a platform and you're able to, to reach back and to do what you're doing, I think, you at least you've assigned some goals, you've assigned some mission to that, and you're fulfilling that with what you're doing. So I think that's awesome. So now with last year, now in the midst, again, in the midst of the pandemic, in the midst of everything, everyone kept saying the same thing, right? When it comes to relationships, it's either your relationship, because now everyone is at home, everyone is in the same spaces. Either relationship is going to flourish, or I mean, it's just going to tank. It was one of those two realities.
Mm-hmm.
But you teamed up again. Not, I shouldn't say teamed up, because you are married to Trina. That is your wife. See, you're always a team. So
Yeah.
you guys collaborated, and you released a book.
Mm-hmm.
You released Miracle Marriage, that book. So tell us how important it was for you to get that book out there, knowing everything else that was happening in and around that.
So a miracle marriage is it's my wife and I's, I don't know what you want to call it, our journal or our book of advice. It's actually our testimony. My
Mm-hmm.
wife and I got married when we were very young. I mean, I was right out, we were both right out of high school, and we just knew we wanted to be married. So we got married, and within a year, because we didn't understand the requirements and the commitment that marriage has, we started having problems right away. And then a few years later, I mean, we were separated and everything. A few years later, God spoke to us, told us to revive our marriage. So we were on our way to divorce court. We were literally getting divorced. We went from being going to divorce court to becoming marriage counselors. So we call that a miracle. But what we
Yes,
do know is that everyone who has a miracle happen, that you have to be a part of that miracle. You partner with God for
that's
every
right.
miracle you have. If you look at in the word, every time when Jesus wanted to heal the man at the pool of Bethesda, he said, "Wilt thou be made whole?" And then he told him, "Take up your bed and walk." So there
Yes.
were things that he had to do in faith to partner with the miracle God had. With the 12 lepers, God told him, I mean, Jesus told them, "Go show yourself to the priest." They hadn't even been healed yet, but he said, "Go show yourself to the priest." They had to have enough faith to turn around, looking at themselves, looking at how sick they were, and go show themselves to the priest. And on the way, they were healed. So everyone who has a miracle happen, you have something to do. A Miracle Marriage is the book, is a book of our instruction, what we did to be a part of our miracle, learning how to build trust, learning how to communicate. These are all things we had to do to get our miracle. And hopefully, those who are in need of a miracle in their marriage can read this book and see the steps that we took and hopefully build their marriage up as well.
Wow. Listen, and I think that was so important, because again, in the midst of all of that, because I know friends, even with the Christian Brotherhood that I'm a part of as well too, like they were so intentional of saying, hey guys, let's shift that curriculum. Let's
Yeah.
make it focus on family, focus on marriage. Every area you're looking at, marriage ministries were just like, really understanding that need and that pull to do that. So that's amazing. I mean, firstly, for even being transparent about you guys, journey and everything else, because I think sometimes that's what causes everyone standing on the outside looking in to see, like, they're actually, a whole human and a half, right? Because this is happening. It's not just something, some kind of, thing that is just sitting in the top there, but they're dealing with struggles. They're going back and forth with God. They're toiling with some of the things that you were toiling with. And I think throughout all of that, and now kind of fast forwarding now, into 2021. Now 2020, everyone kind of took a break. Everyone stayed in lockdown, do all of that. But in the midst of all of that, I mean, you clearly did not slow down. I mean, you guys kept going full speed ahead, and you released your 11th album. I mean, listen, not your 11th single, guys, just 11th album. And this project, Not Holding Back. I mean, first off, just tell me about that title there. Just what did that title really encompass there?
So Not Holding Back is actually the title track for the record.
Mhm.
When it was time to record, I was very intentional about everything that was going to be a part of this record. And a few collaborations going in, my team
Mhm.
knew had to happen. And one collaboration that I actually assigned them to get from me was a collaboration with Maverick City Music. I told
Yes.
them I gotta record a song with them. So we finally got on a Zoom because we had to be socially distant. We got in a Zoom and start writing, and they started asking me about what do you want what do you want the theme of this song to be? Just the song now.
Mhm.
And they said, I said, I don't know. They said, well, what are you reading? And I told them about a story about David who was taking the Ark of the Covenant back into Jerusalem. So he was so excited. He brought the Ark of the Covenant back, and he started to take his clothes off and dance all over the place. And of course, his wife, Mikal, was extremely mad at him, said, you made a fool of yourself today. You're supposed to be a king, and look at what you're doing. And he says, I'll be more undignified than this. And he's basically saying, I'm not holding back my praise because
Yes.
you're mad at me, because you don't like what I'm doing. I'm going all in. And that just explains the record and who we are in a nutshell. We're not going to allow ourselves to be restricted by the opinions or the thoughts of people and make that determine how far we'll go in praise. We're not holding back anything. We're going all in. So that became the theme of the record. I mean, the title track and the theme of the record. But then we extended it even further and said, not only we're not holding back our praise, we're not holding back our energy, our intentions, our vision. We're going all in, especially in this year when we've suffered so much in 2020.
Yes.
In 2021, we are not going to be reserved. Some people have been so afraid they're holding back their vision. They'll say, well, maybe next year. But we're not going to wait. We're going all in, and we're going to believe God in everything we do. We're not holding back. So that's where the theme of the record came from.
Man, I'm just sitting here listening, like, keep going, keep going. Tell me more.
Yeah.
Man, and you touched on part of what I was gonna ask in terms of what you hope to convey, because you just touched on that. But even with the collaborations, like, you can always tell whenever something is intentional, right? Like,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, hey, you told them, I want to have this person, I want to have that person, but the collaboration, the song choice, everything together just meshed so lovely. Like, as I'm going through and I'm listening, and then even the collaboration with Travis Green, Never Give Up. And again, 2020 was one of those years, like, you felt like you wanted to give up. A lot of people gave up. Me, I had moments as well too, with family, with everything that you wanted to. And I felt like, that song pretty much, it captured that so perfectly. And as you're going down, as you mentioned, with Rich, and the song with Rich and Kiki and everything else, like, just every single song. And we love Naomi. Then with the worship and Mavericks, I mean, I'm going through this and I'm like, man, I don't think I want to listen to anything for like this whole month. When you're going through January, a lot of churches are doing, fasting and everything. Like, you look for that album, you look for that song. Like, in every season, there's like, I can think back, like, okay, I know during this time, I listened to this song, I listened to this album, and it took me through. Like, I really feel as though this is going to be that album, speaking personally for me, that I'm just gonna keep listening to, because it just has something for each of those moments. So I mean, that was amazing.
And that was intentional. That's why we wanted to release it right at the top of the year, because I knew that for every season you need a soundtrack, and
Yes.
I felt like for this season of uh, renewal, refreshing, revival, we need a
Hmm.
soundtrack that says what do we believe now? What are we embracing now? What are we looking to now? And I wanted to release messages that can bring melody to your vision, bring melody to your goals and to your worship. So I'm praying that everyone will find a song that they can identify with as they're
Yes.
walking into a new season. Like there's a song called "We Believe the Report of the Lord." Now,
Mm.
of course, we've seen so many other reports. We've heard other reports. We've seen statistics
Listen.
that are crazy and daunting. But we have to choose to believe what God said. So, I mean, every song we intentionally placed where it is, and we intentionally had the message. We every message is specific for this season, and I'm praying everyone gets what they need out of it.
Listen, and I'm sure they're gonna get where they need, because again, like you said, it has to be a partnership, right? So they
Yeah,
have to know what they need, they have to go after it, and they got to latch on to that song for the season. But now the album is, like I mentioned, it was just amazing. So now this virtual concert that just happened, like, and I'm looking at all of these clips, and I'm looking at everything because confession time, I had a deadline I needed to finish. So while I'm looking at the time, and by the time I go back to the site again, it was like it's almost finished. I was like, oh man, I was so
yeah.
zoned in. And now I'm seeing these clips. I will live, and I'm seeing everything else. Like, I mean, tell us about that.
Well, the virtual release concert was really special. One thing I can say about You for Praise, when we get together, it's not like there's just no pressure. and,
Mm.
and that's the best way I can explain it. Everybody comes together. Like when it was time for sound check, I had to calm them down in sound check because they were ready to go all in. As a matter of fact, of course, we had to do some editing because right after the second song, there was like this praise break that broke out. I'm like, okay, we got like 5 more songs to go. So what you see is actually an authentic experience with God. And I think that's why it felt so good. That's why when people were watching it, even when
Mhm.
I was watching it with everybody, they're like, we don't want it to end. I'm like, that's it. It's over.
Yes.
And what we're gonna try to find a day where we can re-air it so people who
You,
missed moments.
and I was gonna ask that because I'm here like, listen, I don't. The clips are great. I want to see the whole thing. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm waiting to hear. Okay, you
Yeah,
kind of just.
we're gonna re-air it so people could be a part of it. And then there are other people who I guess they missed it somehow. So all they're seeing is the response, and they're like, "Oh,
Yes.
I wanted to see it." So we're gonna find a day
Hmm.
to re-air it because we're excited about the fact that people are just looking for worship. There wasn't crazy. It wasn't a crazy production. I mean, of course, it was good. We wanted to make sure it
Hmm.
was excellent, but it wasn't like we did a whole bunch of special camera tricks. It was just an authentic experience with God. I think people need that in this season.
But those are the best, right? Because when you're going there, you don't have an agenda per se. Like, hey, we're gonna stop here. At exactly 3 minutes. You're gonna run. You're gonna break out. You're gonna fall. Like, I mean, like you feel it when you're seeing it, when you're looking at the visuals that's being released. Like, you definitely felt like, hey, that is a genuine presence that just swept over the place, and it's
Praise God.
just, man, I can't wait to even see that myself, because I kept going. I'm like, I'm checking YouTube, I'm checking here. Where is this thing?
Yeah, we're gonna probably do it within the next week or so. So look out
Oh,
for it.
oh, awesome. So as we're even getting down to the ending here now, so again, there's a lot that's been going on in your world. So I didn't mention this in the beginning, but now we have to make sure we also put some additional respect in your name, and I have to add the pastor to there.
Ah.
So congratulations to you and your first lady, on that appointment as campus pastors, for Anaheim, Washington D.C. So now, just tell us, we know JJ, JJ the writer, we have JJ the singer with YP. Now tell us about JJ the pastor? Tell us a little bit about that.
Wow. So I'll say this: every assignment usually comes with a stigma. And I
Mm,
think for us, we were so afraid of this assignment because we were nervous about what that means, like what the expectation is. And I think what we've been doing all our lives, and this is what Apostle Stevenson shared with us, is that although you've been afraid because of the title, you've been like running away from it, but you've been doing it all along. So I'm not afraid now to do what we've been called to do. And I think we're called to people. We're not called to make sure we
yes.
preach people happy. I think for so long we've been thinking that pastoring means you got to be the best preacher, or you got to be the, you know, I mean, just so many things that we associate
Hmm.
with being
Hmm.
a pastor. But a pastor is really a shepherd, and that means you're
Yes.
supposed to lead and care for sheep. And that's what we're assigned to do. We're supposed to lead and care for people. And I've been doing that all my life.
Right.
And it actually, I take joy in it. Like if you, even
That's
if you,
important.
if,
Yeah.
if you look at the way Youth for Praise and I interact, I really care for them personally. And they're amazingly talented. Many of them sing way better than me. Some of them are great writers, but they choose to follow me because of the way I care for them. And my prayer is that those who are a part of NYDC will feel the same way. They'll feel loved and cared for and seen. Because in a day like today, you can hear great preaching anywhere. I mean, you on Sunday morning, you can scroll through Facebook and see the best preachers in the world.
I've been in like 20 different churches, so I just need
Exactly.
membership forms.
By 1 p.m., you've watched TD Jakes, Stephen Furtick, Apostle Matthew Stevenson, and not missed a beat. But what the difference is, connection. Who cares for
Yes.
you? Not
Yes.
who's watching you, not who you're watching, but who cares for you. And that's what I feel like we're assigned to do. We're assigned to care for people. Now, of course, we got to bring the word. We're going to teach the
Of
unadulterated
course.
word of
Yeah.
God,
Hmm.
but in a way where it's relevant to you and where you are in your life. So I'm excited. Pastor Trina and I, we're both excited about what we're called to do. And what the best part about all this for me is watching her come alive. Um,
Yes.
this is who she's always been. Like I've heard her pray, but now other people are able to be a part of her prayer experiences, and it's really like an experience. I mean, there are people all over who are tuning in every Monday morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, listening to her pray. So I believe that this is who we've always been called to be, but now it's time to walk in it and allow God to strengthen us and be with us, so we're not afraid to do what we're called to do.
Man, listen, that was oh, you see, and you're already singing like a pastor now.
Oh
So look
man,
at that. So just walk in that, you're already there.
God be glory.
As we love it. We love it. We're enjoying just watching that transformation, watching that journey, that God is taking you guys on, where He's leading you, and then every step of the way, again, purpose that you're fulfilling. And like you said, you've been caring, for a team. You've been caring for your, for that ministry there for almost over 2 decades now. And that's what I love about God, right? Because he trial you, with, if you're thinking, tomorrow you're not going to wake up and all of a sudden you're this massive, farmer. You got to first, start with that little pepper pot. You have that little thing, how's that pepper? Is that pepper growing? Is this happening? And little by little, He keeps equipping you and equipping you. And now you're at the place where you can just, move and function and walk into what He's called you to do. So it's definitely a joy to watch and a joy to witness. And guys, not holding back. J Harrison, you guys got it. You got to go there. You got to get the book. And now that there's this amazing album, you guys, it's available everywhere. You got to get it, download it, stream it, share it. You're just like me. If you missed out, he is gonna release, the virtual concert. Don't worry, just relax. Stop messaging. Stop getting anxious. It's gonna happen. But I thank you so much for taking your time, for spending, this period with us. We definitely appreciate you, appreciate your team. And again, even when you were speaking before and you were talking about, being in a place where you're not so far removed. Because even when I reached out and I asked, hey, who do I need to contact? That was just more of a Hail Mary. I'm like, he's probably not going to respond. I'm not, when I saw the response, reach
Right.
out to this person, I was like, well, bless the Lord, you're starting off awesome.
Right.
So I
And
thank you so much.
I want people to know that too. Like if you reach out on social media, that's really me responding. I feel like it's important to be reachable and teachable in this season. So
Yes.
um, I'll never
Yes.
be so I'll never be in a place where I feel like I don't need to be in contact with people because I know it's you who support our music and support our ministry. So you can reach out on all of our social media platforms. Instagram is at JJ Hairston, Twitter JJ_Hairston, Facebook is Youthful Praise. I'm even trying TikTok. It's not working too good, but I'm trying.
So,
And I'm on Clubhouse. I ain't
I'm
said
just
nothing
gonna
yet.
ask.
I'm on there. I haven't said a word yet. I'm gonna try to figure out what I'm supposed to say. But I'm on there too.
Guys, you heard it. Follow him, follow the ministry in every single platform. Get this album, guys. Like you mentioned before, there's a track there that's gonna get you through this season, that's gonna get you through this period. I've already found like 3 or 4 for mine, so I'm just gonna just play them all, full disclosure. But you guys, dig into it, partner with it, understand, and just watch God show up for you. Again, we thank you so much for being with us here today. And again, this is Gospel Music Buzz, and we thank you for being with us today, JJ.
Thank you.